Greetings, everyone, to my fellow classmates and lecturers, as well as our beloved judges. So today I would like to present about my research, which is regarding to exploring adult learners' self-directed learning characteristics for lifelong learning in their professional career. So I will proceed. Okay, so what is lifelong learning? So lifelong learning is a habit of learning, is continuous starting from young age till old age. So successful lifelong learners tend to be able to actually set up their skills, applying the skills that they know and learning how to evaluate and putting their own directions at their own understanding and learning how to actually use the information, the learning techniques that they learn into practice. Yeah, and learning take place throughout our life. We never stop. Every time, even in an old age after retirement, there are still learning happen during the process. Yeah. So what is the how the study is conducted? So it is a qualitative study, and the method of the study is case study, and each participant will be given 30 minutes for the interview section. And for example, like the questions below here, yeah, this is how I design the questions. Yeah. And mostly it is to encourage the adults, the participants to express more. Yeah, to actually we have a more explanation towards their goals, what are their application, how do they apply. Yes. And our questions are designed according to the lifelong learning questionnaire. And we also include the survey from Teens Research. And we actually selected 10 to 15 adult learners who are students or workers who are undergoing their professional career. Students, we meant to be postgraduate students, those who are doing their masters. And our data will be observed using content analysis. We will transcribe the whole interview session and get the content from there. Yeah. So why I decided to choose this research topic as a qualitative study and why it's supposed to be a case study. So here's the objective for the research. We wanted to know what are the characteristics of self-directed learning among learners. What is the gap between the present adult learners learning and their past learning experience? And what gives them the motivation to direct their self, their own self to pursue their learning? And how does their own learning, their own self-directed learning contributes to their professional career? Yeah, there's a few things that I'll point out for this research. So who are our participants? So in the result of searching for the participants, we managed to find people, who are coaches after retirement, people who actually changed their career, for example, from an engineer career to farmer. And we have coaches in not just for personality, maybe just even for nutrition and well-being, as well as working adults and businesswomen and entrepreneurs. Yeah, mostly our participants consist of this wide range of careers. So as a result from the research in goal setting, most of the adults, they want to know the truth, what they're learning, and they wanted to improve themselves. Now, most of their method of learning will be reading books, yeah, and learning from someone who is more experienced than the learner, and as well as other forms of learning. For example, doing hands-on, listening to podcasts and reading articles virtually and physically. Yeah. So in the application of knowledge, most of them do not really or partially apply their studies. Studies meant to be academic studies, like for example, like currently in universities, those degrees that they used to learn, some of them do not really use it anymore. Some are partially using their studies due to the fast changes in the industry and the knowledge that change very quickly, but that they learn, yeah, they just apply what they had learned, the foundation that they learned during their learning process. So in self-direction and evaluation, it is the responsibility. Most of them think that it is a responsibility to understand the knowledge they had received. And most of them, they lead their own learning pathway. There's no one actually control them. yeah, they lead their own, they have their own decision to lead their own pathway, and there's no advice or any form of guidance mentioned from each participant to guide them how to learn, in the sense that like got parents who like baby them or something, that no, that's they lead on their own, they control their learning on their own. Yeah, so in locating information, when there's a problem, most adults have their own method to look for the solution. And some of them mentioned that if I say the solution is quite personal, it is quite difficult for them, then they will look for some guidance. Yeah. So in adaptable learning strategies, only a few have their problems, that like being overwhelmed with information, the accuracy doubts, and things are wasting their time. And you know what's a good finding is that family issues and financial issues are not the biggest challenge for them. The time is the time that they want to learn, want to do something, is the biggest challenge for them. And there is a neutral opinion on whether they prefer to have one solution or more. Some prefer to have more solutions, some prefer to have one that is suitable for the problem. Then each adult learner have their own strategy to cope up with their learning. Some, they actually name their own solution. I just mentioned a few. So one of them, they mentioned about learn less, learn impactful. Some, because due to old age and they have their own method, they prefer to meditate. Some, they have their own problem solving methods, and some they did research, and some they told the researcher that make learning a non-negotiable thing. So they have a quite a unique learning method to actually overcome their solutions. Yeah. So based on the discussion, adult learning is a journey and it's unique. Like I mentioned before, even their problem solving method is quite unique, and they are, those who are willing to learn are the most able, most adaptable person to actually solve their problems. And they're most likely, regardless, just now, like I mentioned, time challenges, financial challenges, family challenges, they are still adaptable. They are still able to cope up with their challenges. Okay. Just, within the limitation and direction for the future research, we need to look into more initiative to actually encourage various ages, not just like adults, maybe young age, we can encourage them to learn on how to learn, teach them how to learn, not to say to have far things, maybe teach them how to really learn something and learn how to manage their time and emotions. For example, reading the research, I actually interviewed 10 of them, and 2 of them actually faces time management and mental health. Yeah. And reading culture is still one of the most important learning habits that adult learners have to cultivate. Although reading culture comes in primary and secondary level, but even in adult level, when you're working, reading culture is still one of the most important thing that we have to cultivate. Yeah. So that's all from me. Thank you. If you have any questions, feel free to just email me.